gentlemen, this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle on the Big Alboski. That is my boy, Professor Keith. As always, and join us live from Texas in his bus, the Spitfire, Marcus Jonston. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? I got to give it up to y'all for that intro, boy. Y'all came up on that intro. That's amazing.
That intro was donated. That intro, Marcus, was donated by a fan of ours. We did not create that. That was actually, I know it's very heavy WWE, but let's face it, Keith and I first got into wrestling watching WWE. So it's kind of an homage to that. But then where we are now, it kind of doesn't really say much about what we do nowadays, which is talk to fellas like yourself involved in independent wrestling. So how are things in Texas for you right now?
I do want to say one thing real quick though. When we talk to guys on the independents, we're hoping all you young guys that are chasing the dream, we hope that one day you're going to be part of that WWE, that AEW, that Impact, that wherever you want to go, whatever is the destination. I mean, we know guys that have said, hey, I had the dream for that once. I had a family, or I took this left turn somewhere and it was the right thing for me to do. I love that I took that left turn. So if whatever you guys really end of a dream is, I think that's what we're all about here. And in some ways, Al, wouldn't that graphic, like you said, we got in WWE, a lot of us got in WWE, but you could probably make the case of whatever your end goal in wrestling is, I think you can still say your end goal in wrestling would be your WWE. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. Sure. I mean,
all right then.
That's the whole reason we get into it. Like you said, I'd say at least 90% of us that's wrestling fans today, we got into it from watching WWE. If it wasn't that, it was either ECW or WCW, or if you're further back, then the WWF, NWA, all of that. But I mean, when you think pro wrestling, you think WWE, and that's the way it's always been. And a lot of times, that's what makes. WWE has always been known for making the dreamers, the guys that say, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. I can't think of a person in this business that has not once in their lifetime said, I want to be WWE or WWF champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they were 10 years old when they said it, they've said it.
I had a cardboard belt that I made with aluminum foil, and I would challenge my brothers and my cousins in the living room with all the couch cushions on the floor,
Yep.
And we had the championship belt. We had the family championship belt, and we often would have elimination matches where, if you got pinned or submitted, you had to leave. Or, and then my parents would come walking in and the furniture's torn apart and we got in trouble. But that's another story. But anyway,
look at you, Al. Maybe you're gonna add Booker to commentator, ring announcer, Booker.
Yeah, Marcus. I actually, last night Keith and I attended a local event here in Pennsylvania, 3WA, and we actually got to talking. I got to talking to one of the big fans there. Big shout out to Bob Bushman, my boy. I hope you're feeling better, Bob. And Bob and I had this discussion. How wouldn't it be great if one of the wrestlers that were there challenged one of the other wrestlers that were there for a championship match, a championship that the guy has held now for 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy,
hardcore title, no less.
The other a hardcore title, no less, and the other guy involved wrestles for other organizations. Doesn't much wrestle for 3WA, but he was there. So knowing that he was there, knowing that he was going to compete in some match, we didn't know at the time, but knowing he was there and how I feel about both guys, I become friends with one of the guys, and then the other guy I've just gotten to get to know. We pitched to him. He said, "Wouldn't it be great if we ended the show with you challenging him for the title for the next show?" And Bob called Dino Sana over, the owner of 3WA, over. We had this little discussion where it was me and Wolfman and Bob and Dino Sana. And next thing you know, at the end of the show, that's exactly what happened. So I had a small part to play in that, which makes me feel all goosebumpy just talking about it.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And when it all plays out, you're just going to have it all over again times 10.
Right, because then Keith and I get to call that match on Carnage, because what they do is they take the show, they record the whole show, and then they split it into like 3 episodes or 4 episodes of Carnage. So that's how they do it.
Oh crap, Al! And I don't mean to take away from Marcus here because it is Marcus's interview. I talked to Tyler, the heavyweight champ, in the hall. He was so complimentary of what we're doing on the commentary. He's like, "I can't wait for it. I watch it back. You guys are doing such a great job. It adds so much to it." To me, that's what it's all about, is that when you guys are happy with what we're doing, because we started out as fans just trying to figure out a way to give something back to the business, and to have people that are in the business. And I mean, Tyler's a veteran of what, 14, 15 years now?
20 years.
20 years.
Tyler
To have a 20-year vet tell us that he's so excited for something that we're doing and that he thinks it's adding to what he does.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, Keith, Tyler also took me aside and said I did really good announcing his match. They allowed me to ring announce one match last night, Marcus, which was really cool. I got comments here for Marcus. Marcus, good evening, guys. David says, good evening, guys. Hello, Marcus. Let's catch up with the Spitfire.
Yes, indeed.
Facebook user, you got to go back out and make sure you're signed into Facebook so I know who you are. But I'm assuming it's Chris Vant because he always says, "What's up, guys?"
It does seem like a Chris Vant post.
So, Chris, if that's you, you got to sign into your Facebook so we know who you are.
Also, your credit, Chris.
Also, Big Al making moves by the same guy. So I'm guessing it's Big Chris Vant. But back to Marcus.
Guys, you're not taking away from me. I've been waiting ever since I heard that y'all got started in the business. I've been waiting that whole time to ask on.
So what's going on in Texas with you? Like what's going on with Texas with you? What's been happening down there lately?
Oh, lately, okay. Well, most recently, I just got back from doing a tag team tournament for the brand new Alpha and Omega Championships down in DZW, which is in Brookshire, Texas. It's a real awesome event to work for. I mean, great venue, great production, everything. I really love going to work for those guys, and those Alpha and Omega Championships are freaking beautiful. I go down there once a month for them.
Who's your partner?
His name is Sama Tamu. And any announcers that is watching this, Sama Tamu.
They never say it right.
Ever. It's 4 letters per name, and they can't get it right. Like, I'm not trying to bash any announcers or anything.
I seen pictures of him. He looks to me like a wild man, like a wild Samoan kind of type guy. Like, is that true?
He's the barbarian. He's the barbarian from the Polynesian Islands.
He's a big guy. Yeah, he's a big dude.
Oh yeah, he's awesome to work with. I mean, I love every time I get to work with him. I always feel like this too cool vibe. You know what I mean? Like I always get a little bit of Scotty Too Hottie in me, and I just want to like bulldog everybody.
Nice.
Like there's been times where I just want to carry a pair of sunglasses to the ring with me just to see what he does if I put them on.
Oh man, he starts dancing.
But he's awesome to work with. He's a big man. I mean, he does all kinds of damage. He only says some a fight. That's all anybody else hears from him. But I can understand what he's really saying. It's kind of like a Rocket and Groot type dynamic. We have a lot of fun with that. And we went down to Burke Burnett, Texas, a month or so ago. And a big son of a gun broke the ropes off and was smashing somebody into the corner. But
Jeez.
Nice. I love that.
we've been trying to get our tag team name up a little bit. That's what the bus is for. We're working on the New Guard Express. Going to get our faces painted on it. That way, everywhere we go, you can see our faces and see our name. And what better way to get your name out, right? Going from
got a touring bus, Keith.
Yeah.
They got a touring bus.
Exactly.
A Lex Express kind of deal without, the failure that it was.
What did you call it? The New Guard Express? What did you call it?
The New Guard Express.
That's our tag.
New Guard.
Look, that was a great idea. It was just the wrong guy to do it with.
Right. Yeah.
Meaning the Lex Express.
Right.
It's a great idea. It's just, and Lex Luger is probably in some ways underrated, but he wasn't going to be Hulk Hogan, and that was the problem. They wanted him to be Hulk Hogan, and that's not your guy that's going to be Hulk Hogan. That's your guy that, well, you know what? Maybe he could have been your Hulk Hogan, but you had to be in the NWA, where you had the Horsemen. You had those great guys to work with, that heel machine that he could bounce off of and look good at. It's all about, there are great ideas. Sometimes it's with the wrong guy. Sometimes there are bad ideas with the right guy. Mm-hmm. A bus is a great marketing gimmick. I think you got the right idea there, and it sounds like you guys can back it up. I love those old school wild man gimmicks. They always work. You get, because you don't need a lot. When you have a big guy that can credibly look like he's going to beat the shit out of everybody in front of him, there's not a hell of a lot more you need to do with that. Just let that big guy get in there and beat the shit out of everybody, and it'll get over all day, every day.
And from what I've seen,
attraction.
Go ahead, Marcus. What?
I said I'm the mouthpiece. He's the attraction.
Yeah, there you go. It sounds like you guys have hit on the perfect formula.
Yes, sir. I'm really looking forward to see where we can go with it. We just got started late last year with it. We've probably only had maybe 10 matches together, maybe a few more than that. But I really enjoy our chemistry together. We have fun traveling together. We have a lot of fun in the ring together. And I get to play off of them a little bit. Not everybody understands what he's saying, so sometimes I can use that to my advantage.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got Big Chris saying, how do you deal with the day-to-day traveling? How often do you wrestle? How often do you have matches?
I wrestle every week. This month right here is going to be the least wrestling I've done since I've gotten started, besides COVID, of course.
Right.
This month, I'll take it back into the reasons why. Last month, I had a loser leaves town match in Amarillo, in my hometown, Amarillo, against one of my big nemesis, Jay Hazard, and I lost that match. It was a great match. It really was. It was a hell of a battle. I've watched it a few times. I lost that match. So
can you send it to us? Can you send that match to us?
I will definitely do my best to get it sent to you.
Yeah,
please do. As a historian, you're telling me you had a loser leaves town in Amarillo? Yeah. Come on, as an amateur wrestling historian, that gets me in all the feels.
Anybody that's watching that wants to go watch it, you can subscribe to Top of Texas online. Top of Texas Amarillo Wrestleplex, I think it is, Top of Texas Pro Wrestling. You can find it on there. They do a slam cast every week. They YouTube the whole show, so you can find it on there as well. But yeah, I'll make sure and send that over to you guys.
Awesome.
But so I lost that match, so I'm gone from Amarillo. DZW down in Brookshire, I think they've got just other stuff going on right now. For the next month or so, I'm just not needed, which is fine. They're, like I said, they're an amazing company to work for, and I will always be available when they need me. But so right now I just have Colorado going on. I'm going to Colorado starting twice a month now. And I'll be going there July 10th or July 9th this month and 10th. And then next month I'll be going on the 6th and 13th. So they got shows out in Canyon City for RCW. And now they're starting to expand out to Pueblo, Colorado.
Wow, it's insane to hear you talk. Like you wrestle all over Texas, and then you got, I got two shows, this month and that month in Colorado, man. I mean, you're making the rounds out there, out west to us northeasterners over here.
And that's like a mid-south kind of trip. Everybody used to say about mid-south how far flung that was, and you would put so many miles. You'd be out in like Oregon, and then you'd be down to, I'm trying to remember where all Mid-South ran. I know it was Louisiana. I have a friend that lives in Mid-South territory. She lives close to Alexandria, and I know they ran Alexandria a lot. But I mean, those like 700-mile, no thinking about it kind of tours, like, man, you're out there territory kind of driving now.
Oh, yeah. I went to
Texas to Colorado.
I went across the border, actually. I went and got to wrestle in Mexico last month. That was nice. That was a ton of fun. I mean, it wasn't far across the border, but I tell you what, you tell a difference. Yeah. It was amazing out there. That was a ton of fun. And this right here, anytime I'm not getting to go to Colorado, Championship Wrestling from Georgia, I go there and work for them when I can. That's a little harder on the budget for me than Colorado. Yeah. So I mean, I kind of stick to Colorado if they got a spot for me. I stick with them. But again, I do love going to Georgia. That's actually where I was born and spent a good portion of my childhood is in Georgia. So, the day flies like my bus. But
I guess
we're having that problem up in Jersey too. My God, the flies are terrible this year.
But I'm trying to travel as much as I can. It's like my wife hates it because I am always on the road and I am always spending money traveling and stuff like that. But for me, it's like there's just not enough weeks in the month for me to hit all the promotions I want to hit. Like there's some of them that I reach out to and I want to go work for, and they're like, "Yeah, can you come out on this date and this date?" And I'm like, I'm already booked for these guys, and so
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I'm like, man, sometimes I feel like I'm biting off more than I can chew at one time. Like I'll go to a promotion that I really like, and I'm like, okay, here, if you'll give me all these dates, I'll take them. I'll come out for you. All the dates you'll give me throughout the year, but then you're locked in. You're locked in. So if there's another opportunity that comes up, you got to pass it up at least until the next year. You know what I mean? And
right, because you made the commitment.
Tell a promoter that, like, oh man, I know I'm the one that came to you. Is just, I guess, your dates and this other promotion's dates that I've already committed to, they don't match up, and I stick to my commitments.
Do you enjoy Do you enjoy the tag team wrestling you've been doing lately versus the single stuff?
I really do. We're learning a lot as a tag team, especially as we travel, because we're working with all kinds of different tag teams, people we've never met before, people we've never seen before. There's all kinds of different dynamics everywhere you go. You'll work with two people that are just a freaking dream to work with, and you get out, and I mean, me and Sama have been tagging for a year, and there's sometimes we'll get done with a match and it'll go so great that we'll come back and we'll feel like we've been working together our whole lives. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's some matches where we'll go out and we'll tag and we'll be like, what the hell happened out there? What in the world was that? I know we're better than this.
Right.
But
He's gonna kill Fly.
But
So Chris Vance says, wrestling related, 32 years ago, the Legion of Doom made their debut. Love tag team wrestling.
Yeah. And rest in peace, Animal and Hawk.
What'd you say, Marcus?
Oh, I was just saying it really is such a fun dynamic. I mean, and when you can get the formula right, it makes for a hell of a fun match.
Absolutely. I think
there's not much that a crowd gets more hype for than a good hot tag.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's wrestling 101, right? It's easy. It's they're dying for that hot tag with the heel tag teams beating the crap out of somebody, and then that the guys reach that drama of reaching for the tag. If you do it right,
yeah,
it always works. I mean, it gets to me. Even I've been watching this shit for 40 years, and even now I know it's coming. But I still get excited for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think there is such room in the business right now for a great tag team. I think we are missing those great tag teams. We're missing the Rock and Rolls. We're missing the Midnights. We're missing Tully and Arn. We're missing those great teams. And the business has gotten so myopic towards, well, there's no money unless you're a single. But I see tag teams. I see a tag team, monthly, and I know Al does too, and he knows who I'm going to talk about. We see a tag team monthly, Dog Nation, and they are a prototypical heel jackass tag team. I mean, they piss off everybody in the building. We know them. They're great guys, but man, they keep kayfabe. If you're a little kid, if you're not somebody that they know, they will crap on you. They don't care.
Yes.
And I see some other teams, that we're watching monthly. Rule Britannia is coming into their own, which is a tag team, a British tag team that we know. And I mean, it is becoming such a lost art because, and even in the majors I see it, where it's like one team is allowed to get over, and they're allowed to be the guys, and they're allowed to be the franchise, and they win the tag titles like 700 times now. And everybody else is built to just kind of be fed to them. And it's like, man, if you could have a division that was 3 or 4 teams deep, and that's really all you need, 3 or 4 teams deep, that's your core, and then you're rotating other teams against them, you got something unique. You've got something that nobody's looking at in this day and age, and I think you can make money with it.
Well, and something like you said, the old school part of it, the old school fundamentals of the drama, that was a big part of why we were so turned on to the idea of the big man, little man, is because to build that, you need your partner. You know what I mean? There's some modern day tag team wrestlings that I watch that just like singles matches, just go. It's just, let's see how many cool, flashy shit we can do together.
Yep.
And within 5-10 minutes. And then we'll take it home with something that nobody's going to remember because of all the other flashy shit we did before it. Whereas there's no, like you said, the little man's dying. He's been trying the whole match, fighting like hell. And every time he gets a fingertip away from his partner, he gets dragged away, or they're cheap shotting the big man the entire match. They wouldn't be able to do this if they would stick to one-on-one, if they would keep one person in the ring against them at a time, but they're cheating the whole time. That's the only reason they're getting the big man down. They need their fast Spitfire in there to save them, something like that, or even just the drama, really. And also not only just the drama, but also the believability of the brotherhood. Like, used to tag teams, you believed they were brothers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba and Devon, and you believed they were brothers.
Right.
Absolutely.
I believed he was one of them.
Yep. I sat in the crowd at ECW at the Allentown Ag Hall when the Dudleys came out. You believe those two were brothers? Because they had to be, because the fucking heat they would get on the fans and the way that they would piss on a crowd. I mean, I sat in a crowd that was ready to riot at the Ag Hall because they would just come out and people would go, oh, it's cheap heat, because they're swearing at the crowd and they're going for the lowest common denominator. It's like, yeah, okay, they were to some degree because they come out and Bubba starts with Allentown's full of whores,
Right. Yeah.
and then Devon's like, wait a minute, Bubba, you gotta admit, Allentown's pretty hardcore for a bunch of no good, drunken, inbred pieces of shit. And it's like, all right, I get where you're gonna say that's cheap heat, and it
Yeah.
is cheap heat to a degree, but it's effective. I saw people in that crowd that were ready to charge, that were ready to
Right.
go over the rail, and the Dudleys were, to their credit, were willing to encourage those people and go, yeah, you want to jump? Cool, jump. Come in here. I'll beat the shit out of you, break your neck, kill you, and we can send your body home to your relatives or whatever if you're just going to be willing to jump. And then when the person didn't jump, it was, you're a pussy, you're this, you're that, you suck, you're a coward. And it worked. It got them nuclear heat that just nobody is getting that kind of heat anymore. And that goes back to me, where tag team wrestling, if you get people that are committed to tag team wrestling and can get to a position on the bigger stages and can get that political power, that political clout to say, no, we matter, we can draw money here, let us go and let us do what we do. I really want to see somebody do it again, because I think tag wrestling has been so neglected that if you just went back and did, like you said, the art of it, the art of the hot tag, the art of the comeback, it's almost like it's going to be brand new again. You're not reinventing the wheel, but we've turned over so much in terms of the fan base and everything, and it's so neglected. It's going to look like, holy crap, these guys have come up with something completely new, which is great, too, from the perspective of, if you can do that, your bump card is not going to be that much affected because you're doing safe, simple things without having to go, I have to figure out how to do, the new version of a tombstone pile driver off the top rope through a wood chipper, with a shotgun blast to the chest, and I can do it, but it's just I'm not gonna be able to do it every night. That's what I would love to see us get back to.
And like you said, the we're going to the brotherhood, the chemistry. Another part of it where that you build that chemistry and the fans see that chemistry is longevity. Like there's tag teams don't stick together anymore.
No.
That's why I said you believe they were brothers, because if you saw one, you knew the other one was coming right behind him, or he was gonna come out somewhere. You never saw one without thinking about the other, and that's what me and Sam are really trying to get to. Like, if you're booking me, I promise you, I'm gonna say, hey, do you have a spot for my partner?
Right.
Like, even if you haven't even met me in person yet, I'm gonna say, hey, I got a partner that travels with me. Do you got a spot for him? Because that's what we're trying to push. We're trying to get the new guard to where they're like, oh shit, when you see Marcus Jonston, where's Sama? When you see Sama, where's Marcus? And push that to where it's not, well, this push it. Our story is somebody else wants to work with Sama, so we're gonna break y'all up, and that's the end.
Right. Exactly. You want to get rid of that waiting for the turn aspect.
Or we're gonna break you up here, but y'all can tag team elsewhere. And there's actually, I'm not gonna mention anybody because I really love this promotion and the man that I work for, but there was a booker, a promoter that said, hey, eventually, we're gonna have to break y'all up. And he's like, I kind of want to run and control the monster for a little bit. And I was like, dude, you'd be taking money out of our pockets.
Yeah.
I said, all of our merch right now is based around tag team. Everything I'm doing, I just bought a freaking school bus for our tag team. Breaking us up.
New Guard Express.
And bravo on the commitment. Bravo on the commitment for that all day. Because you're right. So much now it's about, oh, they're a great team, but everybody's waiting for the turn. And all of and it's one of those things that ticks me off with smart fan culture is that people are like, oh, I look at this team and I'm already trying, even if I've seen them only a handful of times, I'm trying to figure out who's the guy that's going to make it as a single and who's going to be the guy that's not going to be that great. And it's like, no, it's a team. Why can't you just get into the team?
There's been people out there that's been like, oh, Marcus Jonston, every time they lose, it's Marcus that takes the pin. He's the weak link. I bet Sama's going to turn on him. No, that's not what we're doing. You know, it's.
So I got a question here now.
And I'm sorry.
I got a question here from Chris Vant that he asked 5 minutes ago, which was, do you have a favorite tag team of all time? I was actually going to ask that question myself.
Yeah, I apologize, Chris. Just when it's tag team wrestling, man, that's one of my sweet spots that I go off on.
Tag team of all time. Probably just because as a child, it was what the team that got me into tag team wrestling. It was too cool. I just thought they were the most entertaining guys out there. You know, and Scotty Too Hottie and the Grandmaster Sex Ed just bouncing all over the place. And then you had serious, you know, the centerpiece, Rikishi, just coming down, intimidating the crap out of everybody.
They were so over and underused, in my opinion. Like they were so over, and I don't know if Vince didn't see it or what, but they never had a tag team title run or anything like that because they were just to him just an attraction, and that's all they needed was them to go out there and dance.
I would argue they probably didn't need the belts. 1, 2. I think the other problem was they were a Freebirds kind of act where they were a trio more than a tag, and Vince never booked a trio.
So the New Day is better than Too Cool?
No, I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is I think Too Cool, because Vince didn't know how to book a trio at that point, I think Too Cool had to be kind of the first guys through the wall, so to speak, or the first guys on the parapet, where it's, you know, first one through the wall always gets bloody, or the first one on the parapet always gets the rocks thrown at them, and then it makes it easier for the next one. And I think that's kind of what happened in their case, because I was not a big fan of them originally. I was a little younger then. I can see now with hindsight, like, man, you look at the experience, you look at what they were doing. Also, too, they were in a loaded division at that point. They were competing with the Hardys. They were competing with the Dudleys. They were competing with Edge and Christian. Like, if they'd come along now, they'd be New Day. But when they came along, it was so loaded and it was so jacked up that it was easy to kind of take a good act or even a great act and say, but man, I've got a Hall of Fame act here. So
go ahead, Marcus.
It's not only that it was so loaded, but they were almost in the wrong. I totally agree. They were in the wrong era. Had they been 10 years later, money through the roof. Money through the roof.
Absolutely.
They were PG before PG was what was needed.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they were PG in a very un-PG era. Whereas 10 years later, man, them and New Day would have rocked the house.
That would have been great. So they asked you the question, who was the greatest of all time? And your answer was Too Cool. So
no,
in that
was
I'm going to
all time.
That was your favorite.
Oh, that was your favorite.
They were my personal favorites.
Who do you think the greatest? Well, he did say, do you have a favorite tag team of all time? That was his question. So
right. So his personal
I'm
favorite.
going to piggyback off of that. And who was the greatest tag team of all time?
The greatest. There's a lot of factors that go into that.
I know it's like asking who was the greatest football player of all time.
The factors I will pull in are look, dominance, believability, and chemistry.
Sure.
Brothers of Destruction.
Undertaker and Kane?
Yep.
Okay.
Those two, when those two got in there, there's no one that believed the other guys were going to walk out and win.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was in 1998 or if it was in 2008 or if it was 2018.
Right.
They were the force to be. If those two got in the ring together, people were shitting their drawers.
Yeah.
You're
no
not
matter
kidding.
what decade it is.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that. So I'm going to piggyback off of that even more and ask you, who's the best tag team out there now?
out there now.
'Cause, I mean, that's a rough one to, that's a rough one to debate.
Yeah.
It is, especially because there's a lot of stuff going now that I haven't watched.
Okay.
I'm still kind of stuck. Like, I do watch some modern stuff. I watch clips and videos, stuff that I hear is good, but I really stick to the past. Not just the older stuff, like the 80s, 90s, but I pretty
And
much.
listen, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
That's a great thing.
But my answer to that, I don't know about Keith, but my answer to that question is FTR. I mean, that right now in professional wrestling, I think they're the best in the world right now.
What do you say, Keith?
I would definitely say FTR, I think, is the best right now. I think they're being underutilized. I think there's some politics in that.
Right.
I know we've got a team locally that I would love to see get to that next level and work with an FTR, because what I know they're doing, and having spoken to them and gotten their background and knowing that they were trained so old school. One of them was trained by Rip Rogers, for God's sake.
Right.
He's a Rip Rogers graduate.
Yes.
You get them in there with FTR, that being Dog Nation. Oh my God, it would be something.
Money.
I think it would be as close to Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express as we can get in the modern era.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can't go to Montreal Express.
Yeah, you can't talk tag team wrestling without the rock and roll.
All right, Chris.
All time.
Chris's wife is here saying, "Go ahead, Marcus. I'm sorry."
It's all right. I'm sorry. Because I started watching the real classic wrestling at a later age. There's a lot of times where I don't even consider a lot of that whenever I go to the greatest. Like, anytime you ask me greatest of all time, I always go back to my childhood. I always go back.
Right. We all do.
We all do.
What I remember seeing when it was on TV. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and because I wasn't around in the era of a lot of the classics, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know how I would have seen that then as opposed to how I see it now.
Right.
There's a big part in that as well.
Oh, absolutely. What you viscerally experience matters so much.
Yeah, Jen says I had to look up Too Cool and watch their entrance on YouTube. Fire, absolutely. Thundercat Greg Winters is here. Thundercat Greg Winters. Keith, I got like 10 comments I can't get in because I let me get them in. Marcus Jonston, woohoo, says Thundercat Greg Winters. Who is your influence in wrestling style?
Got a lot of those as well. Mostly smaller guys, because I am a smaller guy. And a lot of people kind of joke about the guys that I say on this, but because I know the role that I play, I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to say Batista. You know what I mean? The Rock.
Right.
Yeah.
So my wrestling style is guys like Scotty 2 Hotty, guys like Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, Spike Dudley. Small guys. I watch how to be a small guy in a big man's world.
How about Eddie Guerrero? How about Eddie Guerrero in there? Or
yes. I don't know why I didn't even think of that, because that, being a kid, yes, he was him. Chris Jericho.
Yes,
he was huge for me as a kid.
Yes,
so many of them, and of course, I don't really take my style as much from him because I'm not as reckless. I care about my health. But Jeff Hardy, huge influence in the business. Yeah. Huge. His match with Undertaker, I've told you guys this before. His match with The Undertaker, their ladder match, is what told me I need to be in this business.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was something. I mean, to see Take be able to do it. And I was always a guy that was a little skeptical on Jeff Hardy, because I was a little more like, man, there's a lot of stunts here, and, doing the holy shit can overcome a lot of deficiency in terms of the work. And then you see him in there with Take and the ladder and everything else, and it's like, holy shit, that was going to a different level, both of them.
So Marcus, remember pre-show we talked about how I inadvertently helped book a match, and Keith was saying, "Look at Alan playing the booker," or stuff like that. Well, one of those contestants involved is here, and that is Prince Piranha's in the house.
Oh, nice.
What's up,
And Prince Piranha, shout out to you, my friend, for ending the show last night, brother. That was an awesome promo, and
Yes,
the fans
it was.
cannot wait for that match with you and JT Cage. But anyway, the Usos, he's saying the Usos, in his opinion, is the best tag team right now.
That's
When I asked you
argument.
that question,
Yeah, it's a great argument.
it's hard to argue. It is.
They've been going for a long time. They've been dominant for a long time. They've been in the main event scene for a long time.
What are they, 10-time tag team champions or something like that?
In all honesty, they're, for me, the only thing that ever held them and the New Day back, well, not even the New Day, because Xavier was freaking magic on the mic.
Right.
But the New Day, just, for me, it took them a long time to really become the greatest because they couldn't find themselves on the microphone. I think they really, really figured out who they were in the ring, or who they were as a character, and they came out with this just, crude, gang ass mentality.
Right.
They came out, it's believable. And
the whole bloodline thing is helping them too.
What's that?
The whole bloodline storyline with Roman is helping them too right now.
Yeah.
They look so much more natural right now than they have ever looked. They don't look like they're acting. They don't look like they're in a character. They look like how they would act in real life if you walked up to them. You know what I mean? Or at least they make you expect that.
I
to walk up to these guys, I'd be scared.
Yeah, they're Anawayas.
I got another big comment from Thundercat, and he says, "Much love, man. Being a small guy myself, I tend to show off my high flying, but I can also utilize my strength when I need to. I'm stronger than I look for a little guy." We've seen many. Keith and I have seen many of his matches. We've even called a match here live on this show, which was great. But Thundercat reminds me a lot of Daniel Bryan, Marcus. If if you were talking about Daniel Bryan earlier, he's got the look of that. He uses his legs a lot of power stuff, a lot of submission stuff, but he can also get up there with the best of them and do pretty much anything. And he's been at it for 17 years. So, he wrestles down in Alabama and the southern states, a little bit of Tennessee, some Tennessee, some Alabama, some gets into the Carolinas too, down in that area.
That's awesome. I'm trying to get up to Alabama, out in Hazel Green and Birmingham right now. So that's awesome. Good. That's a good.
You guys might cross. Who knows? You guys might cross paths.
I was gonna say, if you get out that way, and especially you're on this show, Greg watches every week, and he kind of stalks. He looks. We do, and I mean it in the nicest, bestest possible way. Greg kind of stalks for our guests and be like, "Hey, I could wrestle him. I'll come to you. You come to me. Whatever. But I want to wrestle him." Kind of thing.
First time I got on here with you guys, I remember Urban Legend. That's how I found him, because he was like, "Man, I like this guy," and so we linked up. And we've had a couple of conversations together, so I made sure and tagged him on this one. I was like,
"That's all." For real, Urban Legend. Urban Legend. I keep the cool thing about this show is all the guys that we meet, I keep tabs on. I talk to them once in a while just to make sure they know I'm still watching. And whenever he does something, like he wrestled in a dark match in AEW Dark, which was phenomenal. I was so excited for him. And then of course now he's been wrestling a lot more back in Virginia, but he's also now swinging down to Florida a lot and trying to kind of inch his way into NXT a little bit, like doing that kind of stuff. So believe me, I try to keep track of as much of you guys, if not all of you, as possible. Greg says, "I worked a show in Birmingham last night."
There we go.
Very nice.
There he is. Love the Dudley Boyz. Guys did a lot of crazy stuff for bigger guys. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
They were insane.
They were.
In my argument, Chris, that is the greatest tag team of all time. I only say that because everywhere they went, they made money. And everywhere they went, they won titles. And so, they were ECW, WCW, WWE, TNA, it goes on wherever they went. They made money and they won championships, and you can't argue.
And
they were complete, and they were over, and they were headliners. They were main eventers.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes them a strong argument for greatest of all time as well. I mean, because
Marcus, this is for you. Link me up after the show, and I'll send you info about the show, and maybe we can get you booked.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
How about that?
I do that.
Thank you, Thundercat. All right, man. So are you still are you happy just doing what you're doing and traveling around and just being, the best indie tag team you guys could possibly be? Or do either you or your partner still have aspirations of getting signed somewhere? Like, where are you at with that in your head?
That's funny you asked that. Like, right now, I'm in a weird spot where, like, I've been traveling and all that, but I haven't quite found that big promotion. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even talking about the big signing promotions. I'm like, I haven't gone out and just shit my pants at how many people are out at the crowd, you know?
Right.
I haven't had that, like, holy crap moment, you know? So that's what we're trying to find right now. We're trying to find new promotions. We're trying to travel around, find new pins to put in the map, and just find those big crowds that we can really get our exposure on. And we think that would really help us get to, of course, you got to have the exposure for anybody to see you.
Right.
Last night, I actually got to be a fan again for the first time in 4 years and go watch WWE live. They were here in Amarillo.
Oh, they were? Oh, cool. How was that?
It was good. My buddy, his wife didn't want to go, so he had the extra ticket, and he was like, hey, man, I know you love wrestling. You want to go with me? And I had a blast. And it was like, it really rejuvenated a lot. You know what I mean? Because after a while, it's like, okay, I'm just kind of turning my wheels. I'm just kind of doing the same thing. I'm hitting the same spots. What's next? And then last night, I was sitting there watching everything, just enjoying the hell out of the show. And I got to, again, be a fan again. And I was like, man, there's no reason I shouldn't have applied to be an extra on this show.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason next time I come to Amarillo, I can't be coming down that ramp. Even if I don't have to have music, I don't have to have a name, But I guarantee you the people
they always get security guys and stuff like that. Like,
I guarantee you the people in that crowd that night will see it and they'll be like, holy shit, that's Marcus.
Right.
Because I will say around here I am pretty well known. And so my next step is that. My next step is just get my name out there. Get it in their application box. Get where we can get in front of some big crowds, and I want my phone blowing up with followers. I want it.
we want your phone blowing up with followers, bro.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was like, I just want to travel. I want to go new places, and that's great. I have a blast traveling and going new places. Me and Salma make great memories every week. Every week we have a blast, and I fill up my phone with so many dang photos and videos, but it's like, I want more. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for that next step. What do I got to do to get there?
I think you got to go to Florida.
Yeah, I got to get.
Yeah, lots going on in Florida.
Yeah, because if you go to Jacksonville, you're flirting with AEW. If you go to Orlando, you're flirting with NXT. You know what I'm saying?
But I have to say, I apologize, but at the same token, I think you guys are doing the right thing. You're building a brand, you're planting a flag, and you're saying, this is what we are, this is what we do, and you're getting that out there. And that's important, too, because you don't want to just go where those promotions are and be kind of like, if they ask you the question, what do you do, what are you about, and you can't immediately come up with that answer. You're getting that answer together, and you're being able to say, like, I'm Marcus Jonston, I do this, I tag with Sama, here's a bunch of videos, here's a bunch of photos, here's what we do, here's our resume.
Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like, when I was starting off the first few years, like, I was stacking up cities that I've been to already. And I was like, oh, man, this looks really good for someone that's as young in business as I am.
Right.
And, like, this last year, I've been doing a shit ton of traveling, but I've only hit maybe 2 or 3 new cities. And I'm like, all right, that list ain't growing the way it was. So I need to get more cities, get new places, which it is also kind of my fault because I booked myself in that position to where a lot of times when I go to look for new bookings, I'm already scheduled somewhere else for the booking.
Right.
So that's kind of a catch-22, but I'm at a point right now where I'm just looking to see what's next. Where can I grow from here? We went to Mexico, like I said, about a month ago. That was awesome. And it's just what's next. There's a good friend. I call him a good friend. He's also a bit of a mentor. He's helped me really keep my mentality in check as far as like what I need to be doing in the business. Gino Rivera, Gino Told You So, Gino Seville, whatever you want to call him.
I know Gino. I know Gino. I've talked to Gino. We've actually keep missing each other as far as trying to book him on here because actually I told him I was interested in having him on here. So I know exactly who you're talking about when you say Gino Told You.
Such a great mind for the business, but one thing he pushes me every time like I post about an achievement I've made or anybody. I've seen him do this to a shit ton of people. What's next?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares about what you did yesterday. They want to know what you're doing next week.
He's 1,000% right. 1,000% right.
And so, like, I can sit here and be proud of what I've done in the short time, but I'm also like, okay, but where am I doing now? So, right. I guess to answer your question, yes, we want to get signed. We want them to know we're here. We want the world to know we're here. We know that we can get there, especially if Sama and I can work together and we can convince people to not try and mess up what we're doing. If they can see us together as a commodity, then I think we can really go places. I know myself, like I'm not trying to talk down on myself. I do know I'm a very small 35-year-old, and WWE is not looking for that right now.
Right.
But
AEW might.
They
be honest with you, if we're being honest, AEW might.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Tony Khan hasn't given up on Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor is going to be a brand for them. That's an opportunity.
But I also know a 150-pound 35-year-old next to a 300-pound Polynesian.
Right, that's something unique.
You know what I mean?
I like it.
I'm trying to piggyback off my buddy.
Oh.
Samoans out there that's got a skinny little white guy that gets to have fun with him. You know what I mean? It's something new, something that hasn't been seen in a long time. And we have a lot of the way we're doing it. Nobody has seen it. So I think if we can stick together and stick with what we're doing, build our brand the way we're trying to build it, I think we have a great shot at doing something big.
Right.
A great shot at the world seeing us. And that's what we want.
Awesome. Thundercat Greg's is back. He says, we had about 300 last night. Biggest crowd we had was just over 520, but I believe that they were there to see Rhino.
Rhino is a guy to go see. I proudly have a photo I took with Rhino last year
met him, Keith.
on my cover. I did. Look, I'm a big Rhino guy. I think Rhino was massively underutilized. I think that's a guy that should be so far up there in the stratosphere that I should have never had the opportunity to meet him. I think
that's cool.
And yeah, I think it's a damn shame that the national promotions never saw what that guy had.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Paul Heyman was 100% right on him.
Right.
Yeah, 300 to 525. That's not a bad crowd at all. That's actually pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
that's a good healthy.
The biggest crowd I've seen or gotten to have, I proudly get to say that I was a big part of putting the show together. I played the booker for the show. It was in my hometown. I got all the talent down here, got all the sponsors, made all the flyers, everything. And I made it a free show. We had enough sponsors and everything that everybody was still able to make some money, and the crowd didn't have to pay nothing. All they had to pay for was, they just pull their car up, pull out a lawn chair, sit in the back of their truck, whatever they wanted to do, and enjoy some wrestling. We had about 300 people there, and I was amazed. that was probably the proudest. Like, even though it wasn't an accomplishment I made as a wrestler, I was like, holy shit! I got the biggest crowd that I've ever even been a part of. That's amazing.
That's great, man.
And the fact that it was in my hometown, like, that was just huge to me. So, but again, what's next? I had a 300 person crowd.
Yep.
Now I need your 500 person crowd.
Yeah, how about 500? You're right.
Yeah.
That's right. Just keep pushing, man. Just keep pushing yourself. Just keep setting them goals. And I mean, your passion's there. I know that. I mean, we've talked a bunch of times, but I know your passion's there. I see you online all the time, man. Like, you know, you get so excited, you get so fired up. Like you've been doing this a while now, but you act like you just started doing it like 6 months ago. You know what I mean? Because you're like, you still got the energy, you still got the adrenaline, you still got the drive, for lack of a better word, since you're sitting in a bus. But man, it's been great catching up with you. We're almost done with the hour already. But man, we're gonna keep track of you. You know me, I keep track of you. I talk to you from time to time, and you know, Keith and I wish you nothing but the best in whatever you guys want to do. I love the new tag team thing. I've seen a couple highlights that you share online and stuff like that of you guys together, and it looks good. I can see what it is. I love the whole bus idea, the New Guard Express, man. That's cool. And I just hope and pray that you guys get what you want. I hope you guys get signed. I hope you guys get to do this for a living, like, you know, and live comfortably, because I know you guys love it. And I love just sitting here talking to you, man. Keith and I could talk to you for 2 or 3 hours, I think.
Oh, yeah. I've had a smile on my face this whole time talking to you guys.
Good luck, you. Good luck, and your future. I hope your future is bright. Says Big Chris.
Have been killing it. I'm really happy to see what you guys are doing, and trust me, I'm clicking on y'all's profiles. I'm stalking you a little bit too.
We appreciate it.
I can't be happier for you that y'all are doing y'all's thing, man. That's awesome. And the fact that you get to do it together is even better. I bet y'all just have a blast with it, and I really hope we get to cross paths one of these days.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. And the fact that we're calling professional wrestling is one thing, but like recently me getting a shot at ring announcing, I that's a dream come true. I mean, last night go ahead.
Smile on my face when I saw that picture of you in the ring. I was like, God, and because I remember you said I had a big announcement to come. I'll share later, and then I was waiting. I wanted to see what it was, you know. I didn't know.
For the video, you should see the video of last night, because I think I did better last night than I did the first time. I mean, the butterflies were there last night. I still had the butterflies, but it wasn't like the first time. Like the first time, I was like gonna hurl kind of thing. Whereas, correct. Where I was a little bit more confident. And, you know, I even walked into the ring a little bit better instead of almost falling over like the first time. Keith will tell you that he got a chuckle out of that.
But that wasn't entirely your fault, to be fair. That was a miscue with you and the referee. You thought he was going to hold the ropes open for you. He kind of didn't.
He didn't.
So.
And Marcus, I had never stepped foot in a professional wrestling ring until April the 30th of this year. That was my first time ever stepping foot in a professional wrestling ring, and it was surreal because it was at the historic Hamburg Fieldhouse where I did it. And I mean, that's where when I was a kid, I fell in love with professional wrestling, going to see tapings of Superstars of Wrestling when I was a kid with my stepfather. Piper's Pit was there with Snuka and the Coconut and all that, watching I watched Hogan there. I watched Andre, King Kong Bundy, Big John Studd, Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka, all the,
work there.
What was that?
And now you get to work there.
And now not only did I step into the ring for the first time there, but I actually get to announce an entire show there on Friday, July 22nd. And I couldn't be more excited about that. That's going to be my actually first serious gig.
That's amazing. I couldn't be happier for you. That's,
Thank you.
Whenever we had I don't know if you've gotten to see any of the clips from whenever we got to go take part of a hockey game that was a couple months ago. We went to a hockey game.
Okay.
And it was really cool because they gave us our dressing room and everything like that. And we had a little brawl on the ice and all that stuff. And it was here, it's here at the local Civic Center where I just watched WWE last night. But
Nice.
for me, tonight, it was like when we were back there in the locker room, I'm like, this is where the people that I grew up watching have wrestled. And now I'm going to go out there in the same area that they have wrestled and go have a brawl on the ice and promote myself as a wrestler and carry a tag team title. Like
Surreal.
Their dressing room. I'm in the dressing room of the building where I watched my idols wrestle. Like, that's just such an amazing feeling to be a part of, to feel like you're a part of that history.
The best part of that night was, do you remember an announcer named Kevin Kelly for WWE?
Yes,
He used to do backside. So he was there.
Blonde hair.
Yes, he was there because he was doing a seminar. And he saw me sitting in the corner kind of by myself, and he walks up to me and he's like, "Are you the ring announcer?" And I said, "No, she is," because the ring announcer for the show that night was a lady. And I said, "No, she is." And he goes, No. Are you the ring announcer that's doing his first time?" And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, it's my first time ever doing it." And he's like, "Are you nervous?" I said, "Yeah, I'm nervous." He said, "Good." I said, "Why is that good?" He said, "Because if you're not nervous, you don't care. You don't care about these people back here who are letting you do this. You don't care about those people out there who bought a ticket. You don't care about the guys you're announcing. You don't care about the business. If you're not nervous every time, you don't care about the business." And I felt a lot better after he talked to me. And he said, the only other thing, he said other things, but the only other thing I remember him saying was, just go out there and have fun. If you suck, you suck.
Mm-hmm.
If you suck, you suck. Shake that off and do it again. And each time you'll do it, you'll get better.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny when you were telling me about the butterflies a minute ago, and I was going to say the same thing. If those butterflies ever leave, you got to find something else. You got to find because
I had them last night, but like I said, doing it in front of the people that Keith and I go down to the show. It's our local wrestling here in Pennsylvania, and so we go to every show every month, and so I know a lot of them. So I felt more comfortable in front of them. It's kind of our, for lack of a better term, it's kind of our hometown wrestling family. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt more comfortable doing it in front of them than I did against strangers in Hamburg. But again, I still had the nervous tension. But the ring announcer there, Carolina Jim, he was awesome before I did it. And then even after the show, he gave me constructive criticism, which I really like. I listened to every word he said and try to, seriously going to take those to heart and actually try to be better the next time. But anybody I talked to said I did really good, which really felt great, really felt awesome. But yeah, man, Keith and I appreciate you coming back and hanging with us for an hour and talking wrestling, and, wish you nothing but the best, brother. Much love, much respect. Professor, you got any parting gifts for him?
I mean, you said a lot of it. All I can say is, man, keep carrying that torch for tag team wrestling, because it's becoming a lost art. And I think that's something that's just waiting to come back, and waiting to come back in a big bad way. And the smart performers are going to be the ones that go, we're going to do it. We're going to commit to it, like the Rock and Roll did, like the Midnight did, like the Birds did, and get that shit going again.
Who's not excited for Cena to come back on Monday? The Professor's not. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Cena never really moved the needle for me.
Yeah.
I had no idea he was coming back.
He is. He's coming back on Monday. He's got a big announcement. I don't know what it is, but he's coming back on Monday Night Raw.
Awesome.
All right. If we're done, that means and Marcus, don't go anywhere when we go off the air, brother. We're done, that means Professor.
Before we do go off, I just want to say thank you guys again. I always appreciate you guys having me on here. It's a pleasure. Like you said, I feel like we could talk for hours together.
Yeah.
And never really get bored.
That's right. You're absolutely right, man, and we appreciate you coming on, and we'll do it again sometime. We stay in touch. So 6 months down the road or a year down the road, we'll see where you're at and see what's going on and see what you want and see if you still have the same dreams and aspirations and see how you feel about the business now. It might have taken a turn for the better or the worse. You don't know. So we'll catch up with you again. We'll catch up with you again, brother. You know that.
We'll stay with you until you contractually can't hang out with us anymore.
We'll hang with you till we have to pay you to come on. All right, so
commenting and asking questions as well. I appreciate it.
I appreciate they know it. They're the regulars, man. I appreciate Big Dave Motorman, Chris Fant, all you guys that comment. Big Greg Thundercat. Greg Thundercat, always a pleasure when you come on and talk to, wrestler to wrestler to these guys. I love it. And look him up, Marcus. Greg Winters. Look him up on Facebook and friend him and talk to him, man. You guys will hit it off. I guarantee. He's a great guy.
For sure.
Next week, Keith, July the 3rd, right here on this program, we are celebrating the birthday of the one and the only Mean Mark Mest. It's the Mean Mark Mest birthday celebration right here on Around the Turnbuckle. I invite everybody who knows and loves Mean Mark to join us, please, with your comments.
That means basically the business. The business can come on.
Everybody, okay? If you want to just come on and make a comment, great. If you want to come on the show for a minute and talk to him face to face, do that too. I invite everybody who watches us and follows us, and especially wrestlers who have worked with Mean Mark or anybody that knows and loves Mean Mark the way me and Keith do, come on and celebrate the big man's birthday next week. For Professor Keith and Spitfire Marcus Jonston, I am the Big Alboski. This has been Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next week.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smile.